Yo, 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 we are back with another episode of Leaf with the Legends podcast. Man, today I'm joined by music entertainment legend, Grammy nominated vocal producer, songwriter, and engineer, CEO and chief brand officer of Big Sound Music. He worked with artists such as Lakia, Jacob Latimore, Rihanna, Usher, Gucci Mane, just to name a few. Man, but I'm here with the big homie, my OG, Chad C Note Roper, man. Thanks for pulling up to the pod.
Man, I appreciate it, bro. How everything going with you?
Man, hey, lovely, man. I can't complain at all, man. God is good.
What's up? I agree 100% with that, family.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, hey, before we get into it, man, how did you get the nickname C Note?
I played baseball, bro. So I was pretty a star athlete for real. I went to King,
Hey,
but
y'all.
when I went to when I was in Little League baseball is where I got the name C Note. One of my coaches started calling me that because he said I gave 100%. You know, C Note is $100.
Yep,
So
yep.
he started calling me C Note because I gave 100% as a kid. I think I was like 11, 10, 11, something like that. And I just rocked out with it. And then it fit because of music later on, but it was about C Note back in the day was $100. So that's where
That's
we got it
dope.
from. Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah, man. Fellow general here too, man. Class of '04, man. Yeah, yeah.
Woo, I don't even want to tell you what class I was. Shoot, that was woo, oh 04? Yeah, bro. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, no, facts, facts. So when did you first start like when did you first fall in love with music?
Man, in church, when I was a kid, man, grew up singing in choirs and stuff like that in church, trying to play the drums was terrible, by the way. But I used to play the drums in church when I was a kid, a youngster, man. And that's kind of where it started. My family, my mom and my aunts used to sing around the city back in the day.
Mm,
So that's where it started was at home. Then we know obviously you go to church and then you singing in choirs, then you be in different singing groups. I was in singing groups as a kid coming up. My cousin Rodney Poe and the name of the group was called the Precious Poe. So me and Rodney and Angela and Carsey would be in the group singing. And then I was in then later on I was in a group with my boy Jermaine Rideout and Mario Brown and Tim Campbell. We had a group called New and Dre, rest RIP Dre Flippin. We had a group called New Creation. So it was like, you know, my teenage years, you know what I mean? And my kid and teenage years, so it started like that. So I thought I was gonna be an artist,
mhm.
but it was over with. It didn't work out.
I got you. I got you. So when
Yeah.
did it shift, and when did you kind of like take on the engineering aspect of it and the vocal producing, and like really know that you
Yeah.
can like make a career out of that?
So back in the day in Milwaukee used to be a mall called Capitol Court Mall, and me and Jermaine was like huge Jodeci fans, Boys and Men and Jodeci, but we was really crazy like Jodeci fans. So when either Jodeci or Boys and Men had an album to come out, we would go to Capitol Court Mall to Sam Goody, which was a music store like back in the day. We would
Yep.
go to Sam Goody and buy the CD. You know what I'm saying? Well, it was tapes at first, then it went to CD.
Yeah.
So what we would do, but on the inside, the tapes, it would have like this long thing with the credits, and then obviously the booklet for the CDs. So we would look into to see what was, you know, who was doing it. So we would see Devontae Swing, producer, or Al B. Shore, writer, or Kenny Babyface Edmonds, or Antonio L.A. Reid. You know what I'm saying? So we would see these names for producers and writers, and I'd be like, man. Now Jermaine was the producer; he played the keys and stuff. You know what I'm saying in our groups. So it was like, I was like, man, I wonder how much money they make. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know. We were kids.
Yeah.
So I started researching, you know, or I would see drums played by this, or uh, vocal arranged by this person. You know what I'm saying? So I was trying to figure out who, because we were just students of the music and the music sounds so good to us, how could we do what they do for our group? So that's how it started as curiosity. You know what I'm saying? So when we were able to actually go to the studio, we knew Jermaine was the producer because he, in our mind at that time, a producer was somebody who made the beat.
Yep.
You know, today that's a different situation, but then that's what I thought the producer was. And then we knew vocal arranger was the person who guided whoever was singing or gave harmony arrangements and things of that nature. So that's vocal arrangement came from. And then I found out what engineer was the person basically recording the song, figuring out how to get your vocals into the whatever software you were using at the time.
Mhm.
So when we ran into a gentleman named Darnell Brown from Milwaukee, and he had a studio on Fond du Lac. And he would let us come. That's when we first got our taste of actually recording music, because we used to record on like different machines that we had that was like reel to reel, and we would have to stack the vocal, put it on one track, and move it. You only had 4 channels. That was it, 4 tracks. So we had the music would take up 1, and then you got 3 other tracks for vocals. So we would have to try to sing the harmony and then stack it on top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we actually got into work with Darnell, and Darnell introduced us to Pro Tools. Now, at the time, Pro Tools ain't like how it is now. Everybody can just throw it on their laptop stuff. You had to have a big computer with the board. So he had that. So as our group would be in there recording songs, I would be sitting next to Darnell when I wasn't in the booth, asking what he was doing. So I'm like, man, what are you doing? Oh, you press this to record, blah, 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 blah. So he was breaking everything down to me. So me wanting to get stuff done fast, I was trying to learn. So when Darnell wasn't available, we could still work. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But obviously, I just didn't have the equipment. But I figured if I learned enough, Darnell would trust me to get in his studio to record. So it never got to that point. But he taught me so much in those maybe 3 or 4 years, when Pro Tools went from being just you had to be in the studio to you can actually purchase a copy, and they had made it where you can do it at home. I went and got it right away. Yep. So that's how I kind of like got my engineering chops, was a gentleman, Darnell Brown. And to this day, every time I seen, man, I'd be like, thank you, whatever, because a lot of times a lot of people get quote unquote big or have some accolades, and they try to remove things that occur on the way. And I've never was that kind of person. So Darnell basically got me in the game of the behind the scenes side, along with Jermaine, because we were always songwriters. So writing a song wasn't none. We would write all of our songs that we were singing if we wasn't, because at the time we were a gospel group. So if we wasn't singing the whinings or commissioned or something like that, we would just write the song and sing it ourselves. So that's basically how. So we were already writers. That part was already done. And Jermaine Jermaine was always just a producer. Later on, I figured out there were other ways to be the producer besides pressing all the buttons. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I got started, bro.
Man, that's dope. That's dope. And I'm glad you mentioned, not leaving people out, or not leaving, certain things out. Because like people try to say, self-made, self-made. And it's like, nah, bro. Yeah, you had to have somebody, somebody helped you along the way. It might not have been you might not have had as much resources or help as other people, but you had some help. So
definitely has some help for sure.
Shout out to Darnell for for giving you that guidance, and teaching you the game, so as you can become as well versed as you were in that. So man, but so let's fast forward a little bit. So you like you say, you graduated from King, go to FAMU, you graduate from FAMU, then you kind of you link up with Rico Love, right?
So we can't fast forward then. We
Okay,
gotta
let's do it. Let's do it.
Go to college, right?
Okay.
So me and Rico went to college at FAMU. I'm a couple years older. I'm probably older than Rico by maybe 4 years or something like that. Okay. So I was already there. I was at FAMU already. Rico comes in maybe my sophomore or junior year. I can't remember. Maybe it was my junior year. He comes in, and they're like, people knew I was from Milwaukee, so they'd be like, are they black people in Milwaukee? Making jokes, you know what I'm saying? Because when you think of Milwaukee, you think of Wisconsin, so you don't think of the city of Milwaukee. It's like Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, you think of Philly because you think it's black. But if you go to other areas of Pennsylvania, you know what I'm saying? It's not like that. Right. So it was a thing on FAMU's campus called the Set, where everybody hang out and kick it and whatever, that type of thing. So at the time, I got my degree in industrial engineering. So while I'm working in the E building is off campus. It was the Florida A&M Florida State College of Engineering. So we would have to. It was a building we shared with Florida State, but everybody. So Florida A&M and Florida State students were in the classes together, basically. Gotcha. So a lot of the times when they were on the set having a good time, I was in the E building, because engineering was not a smooth sailing type of a degree to get. Yeah. So one time we finished one of our labs early, and my man was like, yo, you got to come to the set. It's this dude named Rico from Milwaukee. I'm like, oh, okay, for sure. So anytime somebody said they're from the mill, back then, I would want to link up just on the strength. It was, it was a couple people that went to FAMU from Milwaukee, but I just wanted to meet him because they say he do music.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
me and Rick end up meeting and chopping it up. He was a young Rick, man. Rico thought he like what he is today is who he thought he was back then. So
I
it's
got
no
you.
shock that he
I got
became what he is. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yep,
He had
yep.
the confidence, he had this heart, he had the work ethic, he had the drive, he had all that. So he was like, "Yo, man, I be going to After we got cool, we just chopped it up for a minute. Then we used to go to Applebee's. He didn't, but I used to, me and my partners used to go to Applebee's on Fridays because it was what do you call happy hour? So happy hour is like 2 for 1. This like you
Yep.
buy you buy it a platter, you get another one. You buy the drinks, you get another one. So I say to Reek, yo Reek, you should come to happy hour with us, bro. And whatever. He's like, all right, bet, come get me. Well, at the time, I had to be a junior or sophomore because I wasn't staying on campus. He was. So I'm gonna come grab you. So I left my crib and picked him up and took him to happy hour with me.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And the funniest thing was I had him on my podcast and he was telling the story how I picked him up. We went to go out to eat, and the whole time he was thinking, I ain't got no money. How the hell I'm gonna pay for this? You know what I'm saying? I'm not even thinking about it. I'm like, if I'm gonna invite you somewhere, I'm gonna make sure you're straight. That's how I was raised.
Right.
So I never even knew that was his thought process. So long story short, I paid the bill. It was not a big deal because I invited him to come and kick it with us. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it kind of like start the building process in college of our relationship, our friendship. So then on the week, he was like, yo, on the ride home from Alabama, he's like, yeah, man, I'll be going to Atlanta on the week, a lot of a lot of weekends to do music. I'm like, oh, word. I'm like, man, let me hear. So he started playing me some of the stuff he had that he was doing.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, man, that's what's up. You cold, because we used to say he reminds of a Jay-Z type of vibe. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying back
Yep.
then.
Yep.
So he's like, man, I was like, man, I be going to Atlanta to kick it with my boy Bree Love, who was an attorney. If he was going to be an attorney at the time, but Mario Bree Love went to King with me, so he went to Emory Law School in Atlanta. I be going to Atlanta to kick it with my boy on all the time. So if you're going, he was catching the bus. You can hop in with me. You ain't gotta catch the bus. You can just ride with me there. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So that's how our friendship continued to build because he would ride with me to Atlanta. I mean, he would go to the studio. I would go kick it. You know what I'm saying? So one of the times I went with him, I remember because Country Grammar had just came out, the album Country Grammar, because I was playing it on the way to Atlanta from Tallahassee. So we was listening to the album or whatever, and Reed was like, "Yeah, man, I'm getting ready to be on this level." We were showing love to Lily. He's Midwest. It was different. It wasn't like how everything else, and it ended up being one of his, I think, actually his biggest album, actually.
I think so. Yep.
Yeah, so we get to Atlanta. He's like, man, you should come by the studio. And he was working with, I forgot, it was Chuck and somebody else. I forgot the producers. So and back then, you can get a 4,000 square foot house in Atlanta for like, 1,500 a month type thing. It was like super cheap, $1,000 a month. Like, so Chuck had this, I think the brother name was Chuck, if I ain't mistaken. He had the studio like in the upstairs area, but it was really plush, you know what I'm saying? And he was ahead of his time on the production side. So Rico was rapping, and there was this one particular song. He like, I need somebody to sing the hook because he didn't sing at the time. He can sing now, but at the time he wasn't a singer. He was
Yeah.
strictly a rapper, but I can sing. So it was a song called "All in the Wrist." I'll never forget it. He got me singing the hook, bro. It was so. When we listen to it now, we just be cracking up thinking about like what was we thinking, man? Like we was terrible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that kind of like built our relationship. You know what I'm saying? So it started there. That's where I met Rico. At the time, he wasn't Rico Love. He was Rico Love, but he wasn't who he is. The Rico Love we know today.
Got
We was all broke, struggling, like, you know what I mean? We just having fun doing what we loved at that time. So then from there, my little sister Shay Martin, she went on making the band with Puff.
Yep.
Well, Shay and Rico's sister, Kashonda, went to school together at I think the Milwaukee High School of Arts or something like that. I think it was West Division. They went to school
Yep.
together.
Yep. Yep.
So Shay knew Shonda, but she didn't know Rico. But me and Rico, so now I'm moving after I graduate. Just so you know, I'm moving after I graduate. At the
Yep.
time, I'm a high school math teacher at Holy Redeemer Christian Academy on 35th and Hampton. Well, it's called Mother Daniel's Way, but Hampton.
Yep.
So I'm a high school math teacher at this time, and we we were starting to get real cool with Reggie and Bailey, because Bailey had just taken over to be the program director, and Reggie been around for 100 years. So we were always cool, just getting cool with Reggie and Bailey. So Shay goes on the show, and then she gets kicked off the show right at the very end when he picked the band. And then, which was cool, because I told Shay, like, man, that contract finna be garbage. Like, whatever contract they about to give you, it's about to be terrible, because y'all have no leverage. Right. So you want to get as far as you can, but you don't want to make the band because it's gonna be some bull. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But so she ended up getting kicked off the show right before they made the band. So when she come back to the crib, I hit her Reggie like, yo, because they were always on the radio talking about her, you know, saying watch MTV, blah blah blah, Milwaukee's on, Lachey Martin, blah blah blah. So I hit Reggie like, yo, Lachey just got kicked off. They don't show it yet, but when she do, I want to bring her on the show. Reggie like, cool. So at the time, Reggie and Rico got cool. Now, mind you, I'm not knowing what Rico doing with his life at this time. We hadn't talked in like a year or two, whatever. Yeah. So we get on the show with Reggie, and we do the interview about the making the band. And Rico like, I'm gonna stop Reggie like, I'm gonna stop the music. I got somebody on the phone for y'all. And it was Rico on the phone. He's like, so Rico was telling the stories of how we was broke. We would be sharing food, going back and forth to Atlanta, like just telling like we were just on the radio. I'm like, man, how you been? Because we hadn't talked. He was like, they was like, Reggie was like, I mean, Rico was like, I'm working with Usher now. I'm like, Usher, right? Me? Like, I'm like, oh man, congrats, you know, whatever. So he like, I wrote this record called Throwback that's coming out on his Confessions album. So the album was coming out in like a month or something like that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, congratulations. He's like, man, I'm gonna come home and I want to write a song for Shay. I'm like, cool, say less. So he came home because he's coming home to visit his grandmother, and he hit me. I was like, when we get off air, I'm gonna give you my information. So we exchanged, and then after I get off the air, we just started chopping it up on the cell phone, just chopping it. So he came, him and his boy L, Mad Money L, they came by the studio. I had a studio around the corner from the school. Me and my boy John Daniels. He's Pastor John Daniels now, but at the time, me and JD had a big sound studios. We took a house, we were on some Motown. We made the house a studio, but we kept certain elements so in case we had to spend the night or late sessions, we can go right around the corner. It was on 44th for Hampton, right around the corner to go to work. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So we started. Rico came in town. I called Jermaine because Jermaine's still a producer. I'm like, yo, I need some beats for Rico when he come. I'm gonna need something for him to write to. So Maine make a batch of beats, and Rico like, I want to write a ballad for Shay. Maine had just started this track, but he hadn't finished it. And Rico's like, that's good enough. I'm gonna write to that. So he get in the booth. Literally, I'd never seen nothing like this in my life, bro. He getting. Now I remember Rico having a notebook and writing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, he's so cold now. He gets in the booth and just starts singing the line. He listening to the track, loop the hook for me. And he just, oh, let's not talk about it now. Maybe we should make love. Oh, let's not talk about it. I'm like, bro, you had to have that written. He's like, no. Literally, he writing a song just off the top of his head, just listen to the melody. I'm like, man, this dude is unbelievable. So he wrote the song. It's him singing it. I'm like, cool, man. He's like, I was like, well, thanks, bro. He's like, man, let me know how it turned out. I got you. So he wrote everything but the second verse. He said, y'all can write the second verse. All right, cool. Say less. That's what we do. Right. So I called Shay the next day, like, let's record this record. We cut the record. I vocal arrange it, put the harmonies, everything. I mix it because at this time I'm skilled in this area. Mm-hmm. And then I give it to Reggie, like, yo, this record Rico was talking about he was gonna come write for Shay. He's like, all right, give it to me. He said, but Bailey's the program director. You got to give it to Bailey. So I gave Bailey. Came up to the station, gave him a copy and Bailey a copy. Bailey has her son. Her son is the same age as my son right now, 2.5. Kendall, grown man. Now he in college, everything. I hit him up with the birthday gifts and the college graduations. Like they like family to me. So Kendall sees the CDs on the back seat next to his car seat. He picks the CD up and say he want to hear this. He don't even know what it is. It's let's not talk about it. It's our song. Wow. So he ends up liking the song, which makes Bailey like the song. And on the back of the day, you put the sticky tape around it where it had your information. Yep. Bailey calls me and was like, "You'll never guess what." I'm like, "What? You'll never guess what I'm listening to." I'm like, "I can hear it. Let's not talk about it in the background." She's like, "Yeah." She said, "Guess who picked the song?" I said, "Who?" She said, "Kendall." I said, "Your son?" She's like, "Yes." She's like, "I'm finna put this in. I'm finna start this to test it out to see if we can make it to rotation." Long story short, that song took off in the Midwest. I'm never thinking about it. I never even talked to Rico. So Mad Money L, who was at the studio with us, his guy, which is our friend now, our mutual friend, he must have called, he heard it on the radio and called Rico like, dog, you remember that song you did with Chad and Lachey? It's on the radio. So they called me. Rico like, bro, you got the song done? I was like, yeah, I forgot to send it to you. I'm finna email it to you now. So I sent him the song. He's like, man, it's crazy. He was like, who vocal produced it? I was like, me. He's like, who mixed and mastered it? I was like, me. He's like, bro, I didn't know you can do all that. I was like, oh yeah, bro, you know. So that's how our relationship, working relationship starts. So in the summers, from that moment on, you know, we would get out as a teacher in the summers. So I would get out in, I think like May or something like that, the middle of May, and I would be off to like August or September, like the very first week of September or something like that. And so I would just go to Atlanta, bro, and just work with him. Once he found out that I could do all that, he would write the songs. He worked with the Corner Boys. He'd write the songs, and I would just vocal produce the joints and mix the, you know, whatever. And that's how we just built our relationship from there, bro. And I still was teaching, so I would fly down on the weekends when the summer was over. I would just fly down on the weekend. We get out of school at like 2:15, 2:20. I would literally get the buddy passes from my boy who worked for my boy Billy, who worked for Midwest Express. I would buy, and the way you do it is you would buy, let's say, one ticket, but it gives you, depending on how many segments, the price is the same. So if I bought a ticket going from Milwaukee to Atlanta, it's just there and back, but I'm still paying $150. But if I buy a ticket going from Milwaukee to Albuquerque, New Mexico, it might be I got to go from Milwaukee to Phoenix, from Phoenix to this, then to such stuff. So that gave me different slips. So I would buy the longest, you know, way there and back. So one ticket would really be like, I just need to go to Atlanta and back. So one ticket would be like 3 or 4 tickets to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we worked the system, because we didn't have no plugs and we were broke. You know what I'm saying? So I would just go to Atlanta. I would buy all his buddy passes, but I would buy like I'm going to several places. So I had all these passes for the whole school year. And then every January I would just re-up and do the same thing. So that was my hustle. But then I would leave work on Fridays, catch a flight to Atlanta. In my outfit that I taught in, take off my tie, because we used to have to wear ties. So my drawer at work would have a bunch of ties. And then I would just change the tie on Monday, wear the same outfit, because I flew back Monday morning to be in class. You know what I'm saying? To teach. So I could still get my money. But I'd be in the studio with, be around Usher and all these other people, the different new groups that he working with. I'd be around all them. And then on Monday, I'm back in class doing it. So I did that for 2 years, bro. Wow. But what I did was, I'm like, man, how can I get out this job? So the kids will always come in my class with snacks. So I'm like, y'all can't eat no snacks in here, or whatever, because they would leave. I didn't care that they ate. It was the fact that they didn't clean up behind themselves.
Right.
So I'm like, what if I start buying the snacks? So I went to the principal and said, listen, man, I want to do this, because they call us brother and sister, because it's a Christian country. I want to do this brother Chad annual semester field trip. I need to raise the money though. He's like, all right, cool. What you need to do? I said, I want to take the whole school. It wasn't number like 200 kids. I want to take the whole school. I want to do Brother Chad skating trips. He's like, all right, cool. I said, but I need to sell product so that they don't have to pay for them, because a lot of the kids there were low income, so their parents can't afford. He's like, man, do what you got to do. I said, well, let's sign something right now to say that I can do that. Well, what he didn't know was how much money that candy store was making me. So I was teaching, getting $27,500 a year as a teacher. I was making $45,000 a year selling candy, bro. So the field trip would cost me like 3 G's. So it might cost me 6 G's for the year, but I'm up 39 though.
Right. Easy.
So I would just stack that paper, and I would just live off my teacher's salary and just stack that money up, bro. So till I saved up enough money where I could quit and move. So I saved up about 100 bands and quit and moved to Atlanta and paid my rent for a couple of years and all my bills, so that I didn't have to worry about paying bills. I could focus on working in, being in music. So that's like the long story of how I got started. You know what I'm saying? Everything was a calculated move. It was like some kind of hustle, like the buddy pass tickets. How can I get more for my money type of thing? You know what I mean? So, and I always tell people, your goal should be to recognize how systems work. So there's a reason why it could be 5,000 people in line at Chick-fil-A, but it's going to take you 7 minutes to get to the front of it, no matter how many people at the most, and your food going to be ready, because they have a system. So if I always tell people, man, if you can get you a Chick-fil-A system, you can make a lot of money. And that's what I always, because I was an engineer, I was always trying to figure out what the system is and whatever we were doing, if it was successful or whoever, whatever companies or whatever. So that was kind of like my thing, working systems so to work in my benefit. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's that's dope. I mean, and that's why I enjoy doing this podcast, man, because it's like you see people, you follow people, you know people, but like just to hear everything that went into, you just kind of even getting like started or like just getting a foot in the door. You know what I mean? Like everything and how everything just worked out, man. That's that's dope. That's a dope story for sure. For
Yeah,
sure, for
bro.
sure.
Yeah, bro.
How did the nonprofit come about? Like so within everything, like how did the nonprofit Dreams Never Expire?
Okay, so Dreams Never Expire came about once I got in the industry, and I would go to different cities, and I was thinking like, how could I help? I wasn't like financially like rich, and I wasn't none of that. I was just thinking about it in my mind because coming up, my grandfather used to always tell me, figure out a way to give back to your people. He used to always, and my grandfather, my father, I knew my father and we were cool, but my grandfather raised me. So I had to figure out how I could make myself to a certain status where I could help people. So there was one day I remember coming from the studio. It was, I think we worked with like Lloyd or somebody. It was like 2 or 3 o'clock. It was like super early in the morning. But when I got home, the TV was on, and late at night they have like different infomercials and things of that nature. Well, there was this preacher on named Pastor Kearney or whatever, Kearney or something like that. But he'd be like, and God, and like real hollering and by this prayer handkerchief, right? So this is somebody we used to laugh at and make fun of everything. Me and Jermaine them back in the day, right? But he been on TV forever. Like the man had the longest, it feel like the longest running TV thing ever. But for some reason, when I'm walking in the door, I hear him talking to a person that called in. And when he called in, they were talking about what he wanted God to pray, what he wanted him to pray for him for. God bless me for that. I can't remember what that part was, but Pastor Kearney said, listen, he said, God says there's a dream. Now, mind you, I had just been laughing at this dude, so I don't even know why I even heard this part. He was like, God puts a dream in you. And no matter how old you get, or no matter how you think it's impossible, a dream never expires. I said, what did he say? Now, this was before you could rewind the TV
TiVo or
back and
rewind,
hear
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So I kept saying, dreams never expire, dreams never expire, dreams never expire. We didn't have voice memos on our phone at that time.
right.
We had Blackberry. So I BBM myself, Blackberry messaged myself,
Yep.
dreams never expire. Because I heard it. I'm like, that's dope. So that was it. I just had that. And then I remember I was thinking about it. So I was getting ready to we were getting ready to work with somebody. I think maybe it's like Michelle Williams from Destiny Child or something. But I was going to be going home from home for a long time. So I'm like, if I'm leaving, like, man, I'm praying like, God, if you just bless me on this trip to make everything start to multiply, man, I promise you, I'm going to start looking out for people when I'm able to. So long story short, we started doing that. And then things just started to snowball in a positive way. So I called my boy who was my attorney at the time and said, yo, what do I got to do to start a nonprofit? He was like, oh, all you need is a name, and then you do and he broke it down. So my name for my nonprofit was Dreams Never Expire Inc. Because I heard that. So that's how it actually started. And I didn't do nothing with it. I had it for years, bro, before I even did one thing. And what I started doing was when we would go to different cities, I would reach out to people because once you start traveling, you start to meet people. And I'm like, yo, I want to go to school, talk to some kids or whatever. We come in there for these days, see if you can squeeze something in before I got to go to the studio or whatever. Because like we would start studio at like 3 o'clock. Well, most schools are out by then. So I can get up early and go holler at the kids and then still be at the studio on time. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it started like that, where I would just go to different schools across the country and just talk to young people, like a group of them. So like the arts class, the music class in the school or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And then it starts to transform later on as I got more successful and started doing things and started my own company and that stuff, I started doing other things. And what I did was I partnered with I had a friend of mine that worked in Aurora healthcare systems, and they were like, we need somebody with influence from the city to do some things with Black men's health. I'm like, all right, cool. What y'all need to do? We need to do a podcast. Well, I'm a conversationalist. As you can tell, you asked a question, I ain't said nothing since. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I can do it. So what I ended up doing was interviewing their doctors about different areas. Me and my boy Mario Brown, who was in the group with me back in the day, that's still my partner to this day. His son's my godson. So me and Mario, I called Mario like, bro, like what you're doing, I didn't know how to run the technical side, but I knew he did it because he had a podcast before. So I said, I need you to be partner with me on this to do this thing. So Aurora paid us some money, a nice amount of money to do these podcasts so that they can share it out. This was during the pandemic. So we did about 5 or 6 of these. And then when they started lifting things, we did the first one together, Men's Health. Well, it was like kind of like a town hall. So I invited the who's who men of Milwaukee to come have a conversation. And it was maybe like 15 guys that we talked with, like Mark Wade. We had Kayla Haywood. Like it was a bunch, like a bunch of people from all aspects. We had B Justice, the rapper. Like we had a bunch of Reggie Brown. You know what I'm saying? And we did this and we filmed it. And then we chopped. We made sure it was edited nice and everything, and gave it to them. And they went crazy. Like Aurora went crazy. It was like, how can we do more of these? And I'm like, let's figure it out. So they was like, we ended up building a partnership, and I started doing events. And that first event had 15 people. And as we began to move doing it within 18 months, it went from 15 people to 275 people, where we would have to use the overflow at No Studios, the theater room as the overflow. So if you came late, you had to go watch what we were doing on stage, right in the theater room, right in the same area. So it was like that. So that's how, and it just went crazy, man. It started as like a podcast, then it started becoming a conversation. I still retain the content so I could turn it into a podcast and keep that part of it as well. But that's how I started, bro. And then we started doing Family Health Day. So we would do like we would go to the Midtown Aurora thing and like off 60th and Capitol, and we would go there and we would do your blood pressure checks, sugar checks, your glucose, because that's what they call it, glucose testing. I would have food, healthy food there for them to eat. And then I would have different vendors. So we would have, a bank there to show them how to get first-time lending. We would have like some kind of fitness person, there. So we would have like 6 to 10 vendors. And that way people had access to different things. We would have, the second year we had the mobile, the Aurora Healthcare mobile unit, where they would take your vitals and all that things. And if you were missing medications, we would help get that provided. So for free, because people didn't take medicine because they couldn't afford it. Not they didn't want to take it, they just couldn't afford it. So we would do things like that to kind of like help the community, man. And it went from, maybe a couple hundred people to when we partner with Pastor Marlon Locke's church, Unity. We would do it. We started doing it at his, where they give away 100 bikes to the kids. We got the DJ. It was crazy, man. DJ, got a wrestling match, but then we also had the banks there with all the other things together. So we did last year. We did that. That was our second annual. It's gonna be crazy for the third annual, man. So we just finding things to do to give back home, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I love it. I love it, man. Yeah, no, I'm
Oh,
definitely gonna have to tap in with that too.
for sure. Another thing I forgot. So from doing that, I really want to Dreams Never Expire. How I have it written was as a program to show kids behind the scene of the music, right? So everybody want to be an artist, rapper, singer, whatever, but we wanted to show them behind the scenes. So the original program that I wrote for that was not what I ended up doing. So I wrote this program, and then at the time I went to West Division to talk to Dr. Whiteside. He was the principal at the time, about doing a program like once or twice a month at West Division, because they had Title 19 funding for it. So we were getting ready to do it, to implement this program, the Dreams That Inspire music program, but then the pandemic happened and messed it up. So literally we had about 250,000, me and Sean Hinton were getting ready to do a Dreams Never Expire music program. But the pandemic, we literally met with him November of 2019. We were going to start it the midway through so like April, of 2020, but the pandemic happened March, so it canceled it. And then Mr. Whiteside retired. So I'm like, dang, like they messed it up. So then by the time I just forgot about it, I was doing the medical stuff, helping them. But then I get a call from a good friend of mine who I used to play Little League Baseball with, Lewis, and was like, no, I see him. I was out, it was like a holiday, and we were out like in the stores, grocery stores, doing something with the family. And he like, yo, man, you still doing the music stuff, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, man, I work with this company where we work with the kids who got on probation and they have to do community service. Man, I would love for you to come stop by whenever you come in, and every so often, if you're in the city, and come show some love to the kids. I'm like, man, I'll do it. Not knowing it was money involved at all. I was like, I'll do it. Say less. I'm like, what kind of equipment y'all got? Because I can't just teach out the air.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm gonna introduce you to the CEO and the vice president, and you could talk to them. So they must have looked me up prior to me coming. So they was like, so we see you've done blah, 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 whatever. I'm like, yeah. So how would your program look? Well, I had my old program. So I basically just ran my old program to them what I could do. And they was like, well, what would you need to make something like this happen? And also I told them what I would need, what the budget would be for the equipment and whatever. And if you probably saw on my Instagram and all that, me and Sean in like a classroom with kids.
Yep.
Yeah. So we basically teaching them young people. Now these are young people who are in trouble, who got in trouble. So they have community service they have to do. So I made a deal with the community service that twice a month they will work with us for 2 hours on whatever two time. So basically 4 hours a month, and they would get credit for much more time for doing it. You know what I'm saying? So these kids are doing this program with us. They learn how to make beats. They learn how to engineer. Like one of the kids, he got out. We started it in September of last year. One of the young kids, Kale's a part of him. He got out. He working in the studio. He can do it himself now. Now he's making money instead of going out hustling, getting in trouble. Now he making a $50 an hour, $100. You know what I'm saying? Engineering. So that was our goal. Is to basically, my speech to them was, our goal is to not teach you to be Drake, not teach you to be Metro Boomin. Our goal is to come here to teach you how to fish. So once you know how to fish, you don't need us no more. All you need to do is get your pole, get your worms, and you throw your pole in the water. So that was our introduction. And then because we just like, we grew up like them, so we can identify with them. And so we filmed it so that we can get proof of concept. And then at the end, which was in December, I just gave it to, I thanked them for their time, for letting us do that. This is what happened. This is what we do. Because I always travel with cameras. And it was like, this is amazing. Like we never, the kids were giving a spiel, and the program people, they was like, this, we've never seen the change in these kids. They eager to come, because normally it's a pulling teeth to get them to come. But they was eager to come when they knew me and Sean was coming. You know what I'm saying? So they reached back out, was like, man, how much money would it take to make y'all do it such and such? I'm like, well, we got flights, we got such and that. Like, we don't care what it's called. We want to do it. So we end up doing another deal where we continue to help them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it's been really dope. And that's the part 2 of Dreams That. So we got the Dreams That Inspire music program, and then we got Dreams That Inspire community connection, where we do the health and wellness, and then we got the thing with the kids, bro. So it's dope, man. We've been having fun, man.
I see. No, that is dope. That's some good stuff. And we know, I mean, being from Milwaukee, living in Milwaukee, like it's needed. It's needed,
Absolutely.
to see those positive, especially, black, influences
Yes.
that know what they're talking about, that don't want, don't that don't have any ulterior motives, just doing it the right way, man. Just giving back. That's fire. That's fire. So
Yeah, bro.
see, so like you're a high energy guy, like motivational, like you got me going. I'm geeked up right now. But
What's
like,
up?
what's your? I'm curious as to what's your creative process. Like, what gets you in the zone? Like when you about to cook, like when you about to make some magic happen. Like, what's your creative process?
Yeah, so well, not these days, bro. I've been more on the executive side of things. I
I
haven't
got
been crazy. When I say that, I tell people this, they be like, no way. I haven't been in the studio to record or nothing. Like, I still mix. I mix a lot.
you. Okay.
But actually working with artists, it's been, let's see, I started working with Lakia in 2019. So it's been since then, since I actually been in the studio actually working, bro. Since
Wow.
like the end of 2019.
Okay.
So literally, I think our last sessions, I'm wrong. Our last session, me and Rico was working we were in, me, Rico, and Danger were in Miami working. it was like right before the pandemic. So February of 2020 was when last time I actually been in the studio, actually working for real, like really engineering, vocal producing, whatever. But the energy, how we used to cook up back in the day, because we at the time we would do a lot of songs, man. So if we were working with Rico, Rico would write the song, record a one-liner down. Me and Shay or me and whoever the demo singer would cut the vocal. I put a rough mix on it, and we would just do 3 or 4 songs a day. So it literally be like that. We would just go ham. Then when I started working with my own team, me, Shay, TC, we would work with whatever producers I had signed in my company. We would grab their production, or if TC brought some producers or Shay brought production, we would just write for whoever. So there was one time, my boy Sounds, he's his name is B&W Kenny now, but back then he was called Sounds. Mm-hmm. So Sounds originally, his family from Milwaukee, but he moved to Atlanta, and Sounds he's a huge producer now, huge, but this was back before he was huge. One day we were, me and TC were just chopping it up about a song, and he was talking about a song that's a cappella. So that's something that I would know, because in gospel, they had a group called Take Six. That was somebody that I listened to all the time. So I understood the concept. But I'm like, what producer could we collaborate with that can get that done? And I'm like, nobody like Esso, because the way Sounds produced back then, he couldn't play the keys like a piano player. He would literally draw the chords on the screen in Fruity Loops. So he was like this mad scientist type of dude, but he was so dope at production. He ended up signing with Usher as a producer, and then going on to do Throw Some Mo with Nicki Minaj and Ray Shrimp. He did a lot. He got a lot of hit records. We did Rihanna together. You see Rihanna. We did that together. So he's just a big. So we end up working where everybody in the room had their elements. Sounds was over even though we were working collaborative, we had different areas we were all supposed to be experts in. I was expert on the sonics, even though I was a vocal producer and a writer. Shay was there to give us melody and lyrics. TC was there to give us melody and lyrics. I did. So we ended up writing this song for Brandy called Acapella Something Is Missing. But it came off of everybody taking what their lanes were and just perfecting in their lane. We split everything evenly, so it didn't matter about the publishing. It was just a fact of coming up with a crazy record. And the record came out so crazy that we wrote it on a Sunday at my house in Atlanta. And by Thursday, the song was being cut with Brandy. That was crazy, bro. Like, it's that kind of process. You know what I'm saying? Like, same thing happened when we did a song for the Backstreet Boys. Yeah. Me and TC was at the house, writing. We're up at 4:00 in the morning. And then we sent it over to Wayne Williams. DJ Wayne Williams at the time was A&R at Jive. We sent it over for Leona Lewis. He calls back like, nah, that ain't going for Leona Lewis. This record could fit for the Backstreet Boys. We're like, how? He's like, well, I'm finna set y'all a session up. Next thing, let's say that was Tuesday. Friday was in the studio with the Backstreet Boys. Like, literally like that. It was crazy, bro. You know, so things like that, like when you just let people do what they best at, like lyrically, TC was better at me at the time, in lyrics. But I would always be like, nah, that ain't that. I think we should do this melody this way and change this to that. Like, we would just bouncing different ideas off each other and just boom, man. You know what I mean? So that's literally how you go in a room and just bounce ideas off of people. You know, even when you got work with people like Rico, who you can't co-write with Rico. It's impossible. The man's too fast. He's too good. It's like playing basketball against Michael Jordan. I know people say LeBron, and those are dope, but it's like literally playing basketball with Michael Jordan, the young Michael Jordan, the rings of Michael Jordan. Like, people be like, yeah, we're going to send somebody to write with you, Rico. Rico like, okay. If I'm out, like, he going to write the song in 8 minutes and they ain't going to even be able to help. And it's going to be good. You know what I'm saying? So when you work with somebody like Rick, I'm there to if harmony arrangements needed, I got you on that. And I'm here to I ain't saying nothing about writing nothing, because what's the point? You know what I'm saying? Certain people just ain't that good. And he's like a Jordan when it comes to writing songs to this day, right now. So it just whatever role is needed, that's what I play.
Got you. Can you talk a little bit about the Amplifier program?
Yeah, Amplifier, man. I partnered with Radio Milwaukee. They had a program prior to Amplifier called Backline, where they were working with artists, and they were looking to change it to extend it. So when they reached out to me about it, I told them it was something at the time I was working with Lakia, so I was doing day to day with her, so I didn't really have time to be so like I can't remember last time I worked a job, so I didn't have time to like work a job. So I said to them, I could do it as long as I can work remote. Well, they was like, that's perfect because it's pandemic, everybody working remote.
Mhm.
So when I mean work remote, meaning deal with the artists that we choose remotely, where I don't have to babysit. So year one of Amplifier, we were working with 4 artists: Marcus McFarlane, the Oshi, Valerie Lightheart, and Maxwell James. And then we end up getting one of the old backline artists, Disarray. So we end up working with them where we basically help guide them in their music career for a year. So it wouldn't be like 3 months and then you go to the next artist. It would for a year teaching them the game. So much so I would bring in, like I had Rico come in, chop it up, had an attorney, Bree Love come in there and chop it up with them. I would have different industry people come and chop it up with the different with the we call it a cohort with the cohort
Yep.
of participants. So that way they were getting knowledge. And then Valerie, one of the participants, had a project that she was getting ready to release, but one of her old projects, she signed her masters away to a studio, not knowing. So she was like, I got this stuff happening. I need some help getting this done. So I said, well, we talked to attorney Brila. He's going to help you get out of that situation for free because she didn't have the money. You know, we gave them 10 grand to, you know, help shoot videos and things of that nature, but it wasn't supposed to be spent for that. So I called Bree Love and say, "Lo, this is the situation. Let's figure out how we can get her out." So I end up on some Suge Knight riding down on the studio, the owners who did it, to chop have a conversation with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I basically explained the situation, and they thought because she was gonna go, because the young lady is extremely talented. I was like, that y'all did it illegally without her having an attorney. So what we're gonna do is I have an attorney that's gonna send me y'all attorney, and we're gonna figure this thing out. And if I don't hear from y'all in a week, there's gonna be a problem. Long story short, they reached out, we figured it out, we got her out the situation. She owned her masters again, but that wouldn't have occurred had they not even understood what that meant at the time. So by them meeting with different people, Cersei spoke to, it was a bunch of different people spoke to him who broke different things down, and that rung a bell. After that meeting, she asked if she speak with me, and so did she explain the situation. I'm like, we're gonna get you out of that, don't worry about it. So we ended up getting her out of there. But it went from that to making it community based. We did that 1 year. After that, they wanted to, 88, the Radio Milwaukee wanted to figure out how we could have a bigger impact. And I said, well, make it community based instead of just making it exclusive to these 4 artists. Let's make it community based. But if we're gonna do a community based, y'all gonna have to let me run it how I want to run it. There's like, you got the money, you got the budget, you got the keys, go ahead and do it. So I started doing conversations with different people that they could never get, that were just my homies. You know what I'm saying? Like my first thing was Rico. Like they couldn't get Rico. You know what I'm saying? But that's my boy. Man, what day you free this month? All right, cool. We're gonna go to Milwaukee and we're gonna do this. Like, cool. So that's what I was doing. So now we getting bigger and better because I do a lot of work with the Grammys now. So we were just out there a couple weeks ago. Me and Rico getting ready to do some things with Amplifier with the Grammys. It's going to be huge, man. With the Black Music Collective. So this, I told him let's do it when the weather's better, so it don't be freezing when we, when in the city. So we're gonna anywhere between May and July, we're gonna do something big. We're gonna reach out some people like Kwamanon that does the poetry, like different cats of the city. We're gonna do something real nice for the city in 2024, man. Just to kind of get our music, the music audience in Milwaukee to understand how the Grammy process works. You know what I'm saying? So we want to make sure that people understand, so they don't complain about who wins and they can vote on who wins. So we're gonna have that the educational piece. We're gonna have entertainment piece as well. So it's gonna be dope, man. We're doing some big things with that. So I'm looking forward to that.
Lot of irons in the fire, man, but all good stuff, man. All
Yes,
good
sir.
stuff for sure, for
Yes,
sure.
sir.
So with everything that you got going on, like where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I mean, with Amplifier, with Dreams Never Expire, big sound music, like where do you see the next 5 years?
So Big Sound Music is more of a production company / management company now. So we're managing artists and writers and producers. So we know when we did the deal with Lakia and QC and Motown, I started to build a great relationship with Coach and P. So matter of fact, I just spoke to P this morning. Funny enough, like when I say working with QC, well, I would say P and Coach directly. When I tell you, man, the music industries are full of individuals, man, who say one thing but don't live up to it. When I tell you, when I remember having a conversation sitting in the parking lot with P about when he getting ready to do a deal with Lakia, he was saying the man said to me, the difference between me and all of the other labels that's going try to give y'all a situation is they gonna have a budget with stuff. I'm gonna do it till it works. When I tell you that man literally did exactly what he said, bro, that man literally, if he believed in something, if I was an artist, I would sign tomorrow. And he wouldn't have to even give me an advance because I know he's gonna go so ham. Advance will be irrelevant to me, literally, because just from me working hand to hand with him, with an artist, I see how it wasn't just her, it's artists that got signed after. How he went with Gloss Up and these different artists that's come, he go hand to hand, like he'll show up in cities, he'll do her first project, she had 10 songs. The man shot 8 videos. The second project, she had, I think, maybe 12 songs. He shot like 7 or 8 videos. That's not normal for a first. And it wasn't like 4 albums. These were mixtapes. We was in Miami on yachts shooting videos, bro. It was crazy. And big boy, like $10 million mansion shoot. Like, so it wasn't like the cheap, 5,000. It was like 50 here, 75 here for mixtape song videos or EP videos, not album. So literally, hands down, just working in that capacity in the industry. Mm-hmm. And I thank God for allowing me to work with them first when it comes to that side, because there were a lot of things that were going wrong, but it wasn't about the problem. It was about, let's find solutions to these problems. You know what I'm saying? So it was a different type of problem solving, which was fun, man. It was exciting. It was stressful, but what it did was it elevated my executive side of me. My creative side was already, but my executive side was here. So now it kind of caught it up. You know what I'm saying? So now we just did a big deal with Travis and position. Travis Romeo, he's from Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
But Travis lives in New York now, but he lived in Houston. Then he went to LA to chase his dreams. Now he out in NY. But we just closed a big deal with him with Position Music on a writer. He does a lot of sync. He's an artist, but he does a lot of sync writing too. So basically the songs he writes himself, he has 2 different groups. It's Romeo, which is him. Then he has King Flex, which is him, and another guy, a producer. So we'll take them songs and we'll license them and make a bankroll. Like you'll license a song for a year or 6 months for a commercial, and you make 100,000 just for licensing it, bro. It's crazy. Like it's a whole other side of the game that most artists don't even think about, because most artists want to be famous. Well, I'd rather be wealthy than famous. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather for you not know who I am, but I can go everywhere and spend all my money. You know what I'm saying? But then you know who I am and I can't do nothing. And then I'm still leaking for real. You know what I'm saying? So dealing with Travis, it's a whole nother ball game. We literally we don't try to shop songs to artists. We'll get in with artists because he can write for whoever. So like we're getting in with a couple. We're going to go to Korea to do some K-pop, to do some stuff with them. You know what I'm saying? Things that we're gonna go to Japan, do something with them. But our focus strictly is to do, like, he got a song for that was on during the Super Bowl, this past Super Bowl. Like, you gotta imagine how much these licenses are paying for this type of stuff. So we in that space, because that space pays a lot of money still. It's not like the streaming, even though you can make money streaming, you make so much money so fast with the licensing. It's crazy. And we partner with a company who specializes in that. So they end up signing him as a writer and an artist so they can get him in, you know what I'm saying? And it's an amazing deal, man. And people took care of him so crazy. So we doing things like that now, man. That's our goal, is to show even people who are doing it professionally, there are so many other ways to make some money in this. Like I remember this gentleman back in the day who was a good producer named Tank Thornton. So if you watch a lot of these shows, bro, if you watch Power or the spinoffs, if you look at the Music Supervisor, if you look at the Boondocks, you can go way back to the Boondocks. Yep. You look at Music Supervisor, it's this dude named Derek Big Tank Thornton. This man been getting money doing this music supervision. Black guy, producer, was probably doing R&B music and all that type of stuff, and switched over to that. The man been eating for 25 years straight, music supervising, bro. It's so much money to make. And it don't matter how many, ain't no such thing as how many albums you sell. It's just the fact that you making consistent revenue. And the man that made millions, bro. Because I see him on everything. Every time I look, I read the credit. It's music supervisor, Derek Tank Thornton, Big Tank Thornton. Like, so it's other ways to get revenue besides everybody want to be famous, but not everybody want to be wealthy. So you got to know the difference, bro. Definitely got to know the difference. So we doing that with Big Sound, Dream to Expire. We still just working the same two things. I'm doing a lot of speaking now, so I've been doing a lot of speaking engagement off from that. But we're still doing those two things, and then that's pretty much it. Other than that, being a father, bro. Got a 2.5-year-old son, bro. So I'm just enjoying being a father right now, bro. I went out hung out with my son and my wife yesterday. I was sleep at 6:30, bro. That's how tired. I'm like, man, I should have had a kid when I was 25. I woke up this morning at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, like, what's going on? Knocked out, bro.
Knocked out at 6. Hey, they'll do it to you. They'll do it to you
What's
for
up?
sure.
What's
I
up?
love it. I love it though. Hey, ain't no hood like fatherhood though. Love
Man,
it.
facts.
Yeah,
Facts.
yeah, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So, hey, C note, man. I got 5 rapid fire questions. Then we gonna get up out of here.
Let's do it.
All right. First one. If you can only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
If I could only eat one food for the rest of my life, would it be salad? Because I know
Okay.
I won't die. I can add whatever I want to it. So salad.
Solid, solid, solid.
Yep.
All right. One item left on your bucket list.
One item left on my bucket list. That's a good question, bro. Item left on my bucket list. To help my son in whatever he want to do. Not whatever it is he want to do. Help him at the high. I know what it's like to be a high level athlete. I also know what it's like to be high level in the music industry. So depending on whatever it is he want to do, I want to show him whatever the systems are to become the high level at whatever it is he want to do. That's one thing.
Love it. That's fire. This I'm interested to see what you say about this because you've been around a lot of music.
Yeah.
Song or album title to describe your life.
Song or album title to this. So it has to be a song or album title that has came out already, or I'm making it up.
Whatever.
Okay. Song or album title that describes my life. Uh, Ups and downs are a part of life, but just keep on working.
Yep. All right. You plus 5 dinner guests, dead or alive.
All right. My grandfather, because he passed away when I was 16, going to 17. So my grandfather, so you can see what he raised, what I became. Let me see. I want to holler at Obama just to see what he's talking about. Just to get a conversation with that brother. I would like to have a dinner with Tupac because I played a lot of Tupac and Biggie because I played a lot of their music growing up, man.
Got one more seat.
Yeah. Then I would want to have a conversation with probably somebody like like that went through somebody like a Harriet Tubman or Frederick Douglass, somebody like that, just to see what their thought process was back then. To even because for to do things they did
back then, yeah,
what we do compares because our life ain't on the line for what we choosing to do.
right.
It's just taking a risk. Their life literally was on the line, bro, to do what they did. So I wanted to talk to somebody like that, where them making the not normal decision, what would their thought process, because knowing their life was on the line. You know what I'm saying? So somebody like in that, back then,
That's gonna be
yeah,
gonna be a deep conversation going on
yeah, bro,
during that dinner for sure.
yeah,
For
for
sure,
sure.
for sure. All right. Last one. And this might not be as rapid.
Yep.
Your 5 favorite beats of all time.
Beat just production.
Production.
I like to Rock the Boat, Aaliyah.
Mm.
That beat was when I first heard it, I'm like, wow, that was dope. All mine are not gonna. None of mine is gonna be present. It's gonna be
Okay.
back.
Yeah.
When
For sure.
musicianship and all that stuff, matter. Oh, you know what? I will say this. I'm gonna have to give it to B Cox and JD. No, Just Blaze. Throwback.
Okay.
That's
Ooh,
Just Blaze.
that is Just Blaze.
That track is crazy, bro. Now I hear people doing it over again now, you know. So we go with Just Blaze on that one. Let's see any rap. I would go Hypnotize. I think D. Angeletti did Hypnotize. Either him or Stevie J. I can't remember which one of the two. I would go Hypnotize. I would go, I don't know who did this beat, but Shed So Many Tears, Tupac. Doom, 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 doom. That whoever did that beat, that Tupac beat, A Hustle Through the Years, I Shed So Many Tears. That track was crazy. I remember going on tour with the Wisconsin State Youth Choir. Me and Jermaine Rideout played that song 5,000 times, literally, because that track was so crazy. Yeah. I could not give Devontae Swing his just do it, not name him. I would say between the two, My Heart Belongs to You or Cry for You. I don't know which one of the two. I probably would go My Heart Belongs to You because it got a little tempo. So it would be one of those two. So I'm gonna go with My Heart Belongs to You. Devontae Swing. The dude was a beast, bro. He would produce Jodeci, then go produce Tupac. You know what I'm saying? He was like a freak of nature when it came to production, bro.
Man, love it, man. With C Note, man, I appreciate you, man. You know, pulling up to the podcast. You know, just dropping like a ton of knowledge.
Facts.
Taking us through your journey.
Yes,
just inspiring everybody. You know, your success. You know, just motivates everybody, bro. Like I said,
that, bro.
Man, I was 3 minutes into the conversation, and I'm like, man, I need to be doing something else. I ain't doing enough, man. I got to get on his level.
Everybody say that, bro. That's what's up, man. I'm glad I could bring that energy, bro. That's my goal, man. Like in leaving, bro, I just want to tell people, bro, a couple things, man, that they should just always remember. You can pick your sins, bro, but you cannot pick your consequences. So you can do some things shady or shiesty and think you're getting away with it, but you can't. When the tides turn or when karma comes back to get you, you cannot pick what the consequence is going to be. So always think about what you're doing, right? Make sure you understand the difference between opportunity and assignment. So opportunities come, and sometimes they come with no pay involved. But you got to understand, even though there's no money involved, there's a potential opportunity that leads you to something else. Assignment is something completely different. Assignment is something you are called to do. So those opportunities, if you're taking the right opportunities, they will eventually lead you to your assignment. And how you know that this is your assignment? Because you're passionate about it. Even though it's making money for you and a lot of people are benefiting from it and you're financially benefiting from it, it doesn't feel like you're working a day at all. So now you know you went from opportunity to assignment. So make sure you understand what the opportunities are, because those opportunities build you and prepare you for your assignment. All right. And then last but not least, I want to say, no matter how old you are, no matter what you've done, I told this story before. I was sitting in the airport heading to Miami, and an older white lady came up to me in her 70s or 80s and was talking to me about how there were some things in her life she wished she would have done, but she was too scared. So she said to me, young man, never allow fear to take over where you are too scared to fail. She said failure and fear go hand in hand. The difference is, even though you're scared to fail, you have the courage to. So if there's anything you ever wanted to try it. You'd rather be my age and not live with regrets and live with the failure and the lesson in it than to not try it all and the wonder. So I want to tell everybody out there, live with the failure. All it does is build you. You can't work out your mind unless you go through obstacles, stresses, problems. So never allow the fear to overtake you from trying and even failing, because fear is a part of life. And no matter what your dream is, we all have them, but they never expire, man.
Mic drop. There you have it. Another episode, Leaf with the Legends podcast with the big homie, music legend, man, Chad C Note Roper, man. Appreciate you again, man, pulling up to the pod.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you reaching out, man. Continue success, man. I'm proud of what you're doing. If you ever need me, call me, bro. I'm in the house. Whatever it is, it don't even matter. Let me know, bro.
Love. Hey, as always, be legendary or be lost. Peace. See y'all next Tuesday.